Hello, everybody, and welcome to the NJCAAE Championship for Rocket League. My name is Bass on the Bass, and joined alongside me is the one and only Hypheria. And Hype, we are here. It is the National Junior College Championship. These teams have battled it out, and they have arrived here today. It is Northern Virginia Community College versus Howard Community College for these Fall 21 Championships. I'm excited to get into this. How are you doing on this fine Thursday, my friend?
I'm doing absolutely lovely. Of course, today earlier was the RLCS Major, and now we get to go to a grand finals. It just keeps on ramping up in amount of hype, and I am so looking forward to this. I've heard from behind the scenes that Howard has broken some hearts here. They pulled off some upsets.
Indeed, they have. It's very clear that they were not necessarily expected to make it here, but through tough turns all around, they have battled their way here. The 15th seed in Howard Community College Dragons versus the number 5 seed in the Northern Virginia Community College Nighthawks. The Nighthawks walk into this one 9-0, not taking a single loss during their regular season, but on the other side, Howard taking 2 losses during their season. So the question is can they bounce back like they had in playoffs and make it through all the way to the top? I've got faith in them to do so, Hypheria, but to put it simply, this is going to be a tough test.
Howard have got the playoffs buff, that's for certain. They have been excruciatingly annoying to get through, and most teams are filled. Nova, this time, in the grand final, are they finally gonna succeed? Is somebody finally gonna stop this miracle run? Because let's face it, being 15th seed right now, and also rank-wise being a lot lower ranked than your opponents, this is not necessarily looking in your favor.
No, not necessarily. This is a rather difficult task, but if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be this Howard squad. They've been upset city the entire time. Like we said, coming into this one, the 15th seed is already an accomplishment in itself. And the fact of the matter is that they've already had enough of a run to be proud of. But yeah, that championship might just be a little bit juicier. And well, if you guys are wondering who's on these two squads, why don't we just give you a quick introduction? Northern Virginia Community College, that is going to be John, Chase, and Jonathan, otherwise known as Ability, Caboose, and Discreet. And then on the other side, we have got Howard Community College. We have got Ryan, Logan, and Akash, which are Nooble, Logs and Trees, and Arrow. All 6 of these players very capable. And Hypheria, the great thing is that because you and I do a lot of collegiate casting, we've been able to see these teams play before.
I love that Howard are pulling those kind of cheeky smiles, you know, like, yeah, we know something you don't. We have a tiny trick up our sleeves. You come up against us, you'll go down. That's the face that they have right now. And on the side of Nova, they're currently relatively happy. Whether that's going to stay the same, but indeed, Bass, we have seen HEC play before, and well, at that time they were dominating as well.
They were a rather strong team last time we got to see them play, and I expect them to play strong here today, but the question is, are their strengths going to be enough to take down this Nova squad? And you talk about all the happy faces we see here on screen right now. It's everybody but John. Apparently Ability has something here. He's just got some sort of determination and focus. No smiles at all. He's ready for gameplay. He's ready to get into this one. I think that we're just about ready as well, waiting on the teams to make sure and confirm, but as soon as we are here, we have got game number 1 in this, I believe, a best of 7 series.
That's just his game face. Let me see your war face, and he pulls it directly. Absolutely no emotion, just straight up focus, and that's what you need. This is the grand final. This is the last match you're gonna have to play, and you need to play it to perfection. You need to come out guns blazing, no stops, no breaks, all gas.
I'm very excited for this one. You know that these teams are going to hit the ground running. The question is who gets a good swing in first. We talk about this a lot, Hypheria. Setting the tone in game number 1 is absolutely crucial, especially in a best of 7 where you come in the underdogs here. As much as I think that Nova, this is going to be an important game number 1 for them, for Howard Community College, I would say it's almost a little bit more important. They need to show that they got here for a reason. It was not just random upsets. It wasn't just a couple strokes of luck. It was the fact that they grinded to get to this position, and I think that they can prove that here if they can get an early lead.
For HCC, coming in here as underdogs, that game 1 is pivotal. So here we go. Let's have that game number 1. There's 4 games that you need to win, and then you can crown yourself the victor, and TNT is looking to be explosive.
Already out the gates firing. We are seeing an incredible back and forth only within the first 15 seconds. Nova looking to get on the board early. No such luck, denied by the defense. But what about on the follow-up? Discreet, not able to get the redirect. The pressure is already there, Hyperia. Nova looking to open up the scoreline.
TNT out to the side arrow. Follow-up, drops that back into the center. Lugs and Trace gets a touch, but it won't be a shot. It still stays in control, though, and that's the most important part. You won't be able to rip a shot. Tries to demo, clear up the net completely. Discreet. Now down to the other end, and this is a very explosive game thus far.
This is a very back and forth game with a lot on the line here. It's very clear both teams understand what is at stake. They don't want to let the tone go away from them early, so they are throwing everything, trying to get in the way of these offensive chances, trying to keep the defense solid. And that's led to a 0-0 scoreline here with the first minute gone, but maybe Ability can switch that up. Tries to get a pass down to the center, but Nooble is in the way, and now Arrow a chance to counterattack. No touches will arrive, though, so Logs and Trees on the back end is just going to kind of wait for this inevitable counter here from Nova. Eventually, it does arrive, but Logs has actually died by this point, so this should be an open net, and TNT will punish.
Sometimes being cheeky pays off, but in this instance, it hit a team up. Noble going for that cheeky pass back. TNT landing in the perfect position and getting it past Noble in the end. And Nova, they get the first goal here. There's still 3 minutes 42 remaining, and I doubt very much that that would be the last one.
I doubt that's going to be the last goal that we see here, but I do want to give a little bit of an insight here. We were mentioning before that usually the trio that we see for this Nova squad is going to be Ability, Discreet, and Caboose. No Caboose here today. Instead, we got Roberto, who's going to be playing as TNT. So TNT hopping in here for the Nova, and apparently already an impactful sub. But the rest of the team still trying to do some damage. Ability shot barely off target, but Nova eyeing up a 2-goal lead here, Hyperia.
They're getting a whiff of the net at least. A tiny scent that is being released right now. They're trying to get closer, and Ability gets as close as you can get. That's into the back of the net.
To the back of the net here, and that 2-0 safety net has arrived. Ability just rushing Logs and Trees. They're unfortunately a bit off the line, and all of a sudden you can see the offense takes advantage of it. Nova up 2-0 here before we reach halftime, and like we said, this was kind of a more important game for HCC here. Not to say that it's not important for Nova, but for the underdogs coming into this one, they really needed to make a statement, and so far without a single goal on the board, they unfortunately have not, Hyperia.
They're pressing, though. They're getting opportunities, and that's the most important thing. But also the other side, TNT tries to spike it down, doesn't manage to do so in this instance. Logs and Trees, no chance of getting through. Is forced to take an early layup. Ability still in an awkward position. 9 boosts is all he's got to work with. Logs and Trees decides not to go for that one. An Arrow, unfortunately, gets bumped by his own teammate.
Just a little bit of chaos reigning supreme here in game number 1. And this player in particular has figured out a way to weave on through. TNT with their second goal of the game.
Straight a pass up to the center, and TNT, great response in that instant. 3-0, halftime played, and HCC are quickly losing control. They need to regain, they need to get a grip on this series, otherwise they can get out of hand so fast. That's the annoying thing about Rocket League. 3-0 deficit feels so tough to come back from, but it won't only be in this game, it will resonate throughout the rest of the series.
That's the big thing, is that you're really going to carry the momentum from this first game throughout the rest of the possible 7 games here. The good thing is that we've got experience on both sides here. It's pretty incredible to see that both of these squads have championships, or at least runs at championships, in different leagues. HCC recently taking a couple of championships in the NECC, and meanwhile the Nova able to get all the way to CRL. So both of these teams, no slouches and very familiar with these high-pressure situations. But I will say, one of them looks a little bit more comfortable in said high-pressure situation for right now. It's very clear that the Nova have come out the gates firing. They have a 3-0 lead going into the last 90 seconds. But if Nooble can get a goal here, it would be massive. The opening goal for HCC will not arrive for now.
Right now, it won't. But overall, yes, it's been Nova. For literally right now, at this moment, it's been HCC. They've been the ones attacking, they've been the ones pressuring, and they've been the ones to make their opponents sweat. Nova, they still have that 3-goal safety net. They can concede 2 and still be living life in 1 minute is where HCC needs to do it.
They're going to try their best here, get another offense together, but they need more than just an offense. They need some shots on target here. Only 2 shots registered throughout this game despite overwhelming offensive pressure. With 45 seconds left, they're going to have to try and figure out how to move a little bit more quickly into their opponent's half. No shot going to arrive here as Ability keeps this one out and bangs it out for now. Past midfield we go, and I think that might just secures this game. With 40 seconds left, Hyperia, the options for a comeback are looking bleak.
It needs to be ridiculous. It needs to be miraculous at this point for HCC to make that comeback, and it just keeps on getting further away from the possibility decreasing massively by the second, by the millisecond even. They need everything they can get, and I think they need to start thinking about the next game already.
I think, unfortunately, this one's a little bit thrown to the wayside here. It was not necessarily the greatest performance from HCC, but the back half of this game was a whole lot better than the front. And as the ball ticks down to 0 seconds, I think we might just see 1-4 attack here out of Nova. Can Northern Virginia find themselves another goal? No such luck, but the results are the same nonetheless. Northern Virginia with the first win here in this best of 7.
Tune into an arbitrary Rocket League cast, and they'll talk about momentum and how important it is. And this time for HCC closing out this game, it is massively important. Being able to kind of gain confidence in yourself yet again to go into the rest of this series. It's a best of 7. The more games that are played, the least amount the initial game actually matters.
Yeah, that's the big thing here, is that when you do have a lot of extra time to try and get into a series, this first game isn't necessarily going to be do or die. It's going to be rather important. It's still impactful. We don't want to take anything away from the win that Nova just gained here, but it's not necessarily going to be the end of the day here for HCC. Howard still have a lot to go here. They've got a lot of time to try and make those adjustments, and as we saw during the back half of that first game, Hyperia, they did make those adjustments. They looked a lot stronger, especially on offense during the back half of that first game.
They still have yet to score a goal, though, and you can look strong in offense. You can look phenomenal. But what ultimately matters is that you get it across the line. And I'd rather look absolutely terrible and get it across the line than look phenomenal and don't. Obviously, goals are more important than the way your entire team looks. But HCC, they looked great. Now all they need to do is put the cherry on top.
Unfortunately, they do. And in the wise words of the GOAT of Rocket League, of Turbo Pulsa, why did the other team win, Turbo? Because they scored more goals than us. So let's see if one of these two teams can do that here in game number 2 and take a definitive win. HCC looking to be the team to score more goals here, but 10 seconds into it, they're not quite able to get an offense together. Pressed into their half already, Hyperia.
That's what I like. Sometimes you can make up an entire story about why a team lost and what needs to be happening. But sometimes it's literally as simple as that. Score more goals than your opponent. Noble that's his score right there, but TNT, Hervey's back arrow that through the skies looks to punch a hole and gets to 50 almost. Still in control with that 50 from TNT. It's got to be good enough.
Going to be good enough, but nothing's going to drop here within the first minute of this game, or actually, eat my words, arrow shot on target, but no, it is saved by the screen, but not on the follow-up. We do not make it out of the first minute. 50 seconds into this one, and Howard strike first.
That is the first goal for Howard. Unless they weren't be able to do it in the first game, they're able to do it now. Here, HCC get one back. This is massive for them. Nova, I mean, press back the entire time. It's going to do a number on their confidence as well. Here, see just straight missing the ball entirely. Uncharacteristic, but that doesn't matter. If it happens, it happens.
And that's the big thing here, though, is that this first goal, it really is important right now for Howard. It's not the fact that they didn't have a great first game, but it's the fact that they have finally opened the floodgates, and we talk about this a ton, Hyperia, in so many different broadcasts. It's just getting that spark of life going. Getting that opening goal can really just continue to be the catalyst to ignite the rest of your game, and I think that that's what we're seeing right now. HCC looking a whole lot more aggressive, locking this Nova side into their own half. They finally break out. TNT sends one high. Arrow will have the clear, but is it going to be enough to stop the offense?
This is for ability right here. A quick counter-attack dealt with, but the control afterwards is lacking, and then a long shot from Longs and Trees. There is a clear line of sight for him, though.
Logs and Trees waking up after game number 1. He was relatively quiet, and well, so was the entirety of the team. But he's decided to scream and shout here in game number 2, getting 2 goals within about 100 seconds. This is an impressive turnaround, Hyperion. And again, this sort of just goes to prove why we talk about momentum so often in Rocket League. It may seem like a fictitious thing, but it really is such an important factor.
So important. You see it here. It's building on the side of HEC. That's also the same thing about momentum. We talk about it because it's kind of ambiguous. You don't really know where it's coming from. You can very much say, yes, a good goal, a good shot will get you momentum. But realistically, the other team might just be able to slap back. Morale and being able to keep a steady mental game is massive. And right now, HCC are seemingly the victor in that regard.
It really does feel like they've got all the momentum in the world in their favor. The question is can they find another goal to give them a little bit of extra safety net here? With half the game remaining and only a 2-goal lead, you'd like to think that'd be enough, but now that the pressure is on, will they concede a goal? No! Great touch from Logs and Trees. We'll get it out of the way of TNT, but what about the follow-up? Pressure's still there. TNT up for this one, but so is Ability. Neither one of them are able to make a touch, so Nooble gets a 50-50, and I think that might be the end of the offense for now. Arrow with a booming clear. And unfortunately for Nova, they're going to come up empty-handed.
HCC was sweating bullets. Nova just kept on firing, and they were able to clear it away, being able to stay calm under pressure. Logs and Trees is right here as well. Sees that the touch would have to be ridiculous, and that's the thing as well, being able to read your opponent and know what they can pull out. If they go for an absolutely insane shot, you have to say, no, you're not going to score that. Ability he tries to do it here. It's Discreet who pulls it through.
And Discreet's going to get the first goal for Nova in this game. And boy, oh boy, is this an important one. With 100 seconds left, they've now seen the light at the end of the tunnel. There is a chance for them to come back. But Hyperion, to put it simply, they need to be careful here. With the amount of pressure they're putting on ACC right now, if Nova overextend and Howard find themselves another goal, this game could be over before the comeback can even start.
Tread lightly in a double commit and both missing it. That's not going to be great. They get the initial save, but then they get the follow-up. Nova with the fake out. Almost gets it through, but TNT still composed on the goal line. Back in defense they go. It's an awkward touch. TNT can't quite get the power, but Arrow is on the verge of death right there. Manages to go to the demo. Ability also does the same down the other end, but zero boost gives away possession to HCC.
And they might just be able to find another goal here. They've got the pressure building. Logs and Trees got to pass out to center where Nooble is denied by the defense. Now the question is can they turn this into a counterattack? Nova looking for any sort of offense they can find. But first they need to find some defense. Discreet with an on-the-line save.
Oh my word, the double commit there being pulled off to perfection. 10 saves for Nova already. That's what keeps them in this game. 45 seconds still remaining. Very possible, of course, on the side of Nova. Maybe even already here. What a passing play this is.
An Ability going to find a way to turn this one around. He has the ability to tie this game up, and TNT has the ability to pass it beautifully. What an infield pass, and what a way to tie us up with 40 seconds left.
Only 40 seconds, but this could still end in regulation. What a way that would be. Arrow forcing it through off of kickoff. Noble. So 17 boost. That's going to be a difficult one. Arrow needs to be careful because TNT is up for this one. Gets it to the backward. Discreet preserves it. Flip, and this is why I say it could end in regulation.
And there's that momentum flip that we had warned about. Again, all it takes is one goal. And after going down 0-2 in this game, in just about a minute and a half, Nova have all of a sudden turned this one around. Northern Virginia, the Nighthawks continuing to fight, continuing to try and take their second game in a row. And I fear it. We said these early games aren't necessarily going to be the deciding factor in this series. But I worry if Northern Virginia take 2 in a row and do so in comeback fashion, this might be a little bit late for Howard to try and get into the series.
Still best of 7. If it's best of 5, of course, you're already staring down the barrel. But right now, the gun is still being pulled to Nova. They're not done with this game just yet. They want another one. They want to make this even worse than they do. Crossbar down, arced it in, and Nova up by 2 by the end of this one.
Oh my, Ability picking up their second goal of this game, and TNT picking up a playmaker with their third assist. The entire team getting involved, and TNT, despite not having a single goal, has the most assists for the team, while his two teammates pull up 2 apiece. Nova, an overwhelming come-from-behind victory here at 4-2. And Hypheria, to put it simply, I don't think either of us could have seen this 4-2 scoreline happening after the first couple minutes of play.
If you told me at the start of that game where they were already leading by 2, I would have called you mental and probably called some people to get you the help you need. It's reality, though. That's what you have to keep in mind every single time. Nova, they keep themselves in that mental that we talked about. Switched.
It really did. It's a completely different series now at this point, and unfortunately, it's shown to Howard that it's going to be a little bit more difficult of a task than they were probably expecting. They were probably thinking that there'd be a little bit of a flip in the momentum here and there, and each team would get their chances at wins. But apparently, if you want to win, you have to stay resilient for a full 5 minutes. The question is whether or not Howard can now do that here in game number 3. And Hypheria, we talked about this before. The comparison between a best-of-5 and a best-of-7 is had they lost that last game in a best-of-5, it would be game point now. But it doesn't really matter, because if they lose this one, then it is game point for Nova.
Game point, but this great, you need to stay home. They came knocking, and nobody was there. It's unfortunate, but it's an awkward one.
It's a goal, though. At the end of the day here, Howard are looking for any sort of momentum in their favor, and the fact that they have found it only 18 seconds into Game 3, this bodes well, but I fear you, as we've talked about many times, a one-goal lead, heck, a lead at all for Howard at this point is not set in stone. The comeback potential from this Nova squad is immense.
Nova, they need to set it up, though, and always a bad start. That's sure, you might be able to get the comeback, but at some point, your luck is going to run out, or your skill is not going to pull through anymore. They know how to prepare. They just lock up the defense. So you just want to get off to a great start, and going down 2, you don't want to do that. And TNT, very much a great for me.
TNT, what a save, and what a way to keep his team in this game. Again, that 2-0 scoreline is not the end of the game, but it's definitely not a place that Nova want to be. One comeback is already impressive enough. To do it twice in a row, it'll take basically a miracle. It is rare you see that in Rocket League. But if any team's going to get it done, it's going to be this Nova squad. They have been battling it out, and now they're battling into an offense yet again. TNT, though, not the greatest touch. The logs and trees will send it the other way. And now if Howard can find themselves another goal, it'd be massive. But instead, Discreet with a redirect, barely off target. But my, oh my, Nova coming to play.
Hot take, Arrow would have had that. I'm actually calling that. Discreet also has this one, and an ability comes to his aid. TNT now needs to get this out of trouble zone. This is danger for the Nova squad, and Nova tries to finish it off. Ability, calm, cool, collected, and get the ball away.
Yeah, calm, cool, collected is probably the easiest way to explain what just happened there. Ability saw the ball go in front of him and went, yeah, I could boom this, or I'll just carry it and wait until someone challenges. Oh my, that takes a whole lot of guts, my friend, but it's guts that has worked out, because I think an offense is starting to build now. Northern Virginia looking to try and equalize, and TNT might just do it here. Redirect in front of the net, and we're all equalized.
There they go, yet again they pull through when you are never safe where you're up against Nova. HGC always needs to be wary. There's a snake lying in the grass, and that snake is Nova. They're always looking to bite.
I don't know about that one. It might actually just be the reverse here. If the Nova are the Nighthawks, they just might be looking for a snake in the grass that they can come and pick on up. But apparently it is not Howard. The Dragons are not just a snake. They have grown wings and gone to the air. And Arrow sets up his teammate perfectly.
Snake is indeed kind of like a dragon without wings.
This is true.
Ish. I mean, I guess that's a lizard. And then a snake would be a lizard without legs.
I mean, this is where my nerdiness comes into it. Actually, a dragon without legs, though, is called a wyvern. Why I know that, I don't really know. That's just something that's stuck with me since I was a kid. But terminology or not, I don't really know if that's going to be able to necessarily carry the Dragons to a victory here. They're doing a great job doing it themselves, though. We approach halftime, and they've got the one-goal lead. But Hypheria, like we've said, with a team like Nova, you can never get too comfortable. Their comeback potential is immense, and it can happen in the blink of an eye.
The communication of HGC, that's what I'm loving right now. There was only 12 boosts in the tank, 1 defender, so he called somebody else, say, hey, please go for this, I can't. And they immediately did. The backup right now is great ability, leaving this for TNT, sidewise, or likewise on the other end. The community is phenomenal. Looking trees, tries to get it through. TNT 0 boost. It's a little bit of help.
A little bit of help for now, but is it going to be enough to try and get an offense together here? They're looking awkward out at midfield, but maybe they can get something going here. Discreet, that's not a great touch, so Arrow should be able to follow up. Gonna try and get this one center for one of his teammates, but puts a little bit too much oomph behind the ball and sends it cross court. Now a chance for Discreet to go the other way. He uses the flip off the ceiling. The shot, not enough power, but my oh my, Nova looking to equalize.
I don't know why, but I always chuckle a bit as soon as people challenge up the ceiling. I think it's just one of the funniest things. TNT, no, you can't do this to them. Oh my word! That was way too close, and no, they're still going.
Oh my, Logs and Trees is going to have a pretty booming clear here because TNT comes rushing in and Discreet ready for the follow-up. It's desperation play after desperation play here for Howard. They're trying to get this out of their half and doing whatever it takes to try and alleviate some pressure. With 70 seconds left, they need more than just alleviation of pressure. They need to hold on for the entirety of this game. Again, if Northern Virginia find a single goal, we're most likely going to overtime. But similarly, if Howard find a goal here, Hype, I think that's the end of this game.
1 minute, and maybe the most important minute for HCC of this entire tournament here. They basically need it for their life, and extending it would very much help. Logs and Trees spots an error and break through.
Logs and Trees putting the team on his back here in game number 3. A hat trick for the player. And Arrow doing a pretty good job as well. 2 assists on the game. And that might have just wrapped this one up. We might be seeing the curtains fall as we move into game number 4. And Howard maybe going to be able to get their first game of this series. But Hyperia, again, with 44 seconds left and the comeback potential that we've seen from Nova, I'm not going to count them out quite yet.
Going to tap it inconsistent on the touches though, and as I say that, TNT dives past the play. Their ability keeps them in the corner. These are all valuable seconds right now, so expensive every single time you don't get it into the attack. Ability, a last-ditch effort, Discreet off to the center. TNT far out, tries to pre-flip his way there with Logs and Trees way ahead of the competition, and now a pass off to the center. Nobody's there, and I actually like that. Normally I would say you need to be there, but right now they're just staying in defense. Oh my word, there's a possibility.
And Discreet has opened up the door. He stuck his foot on through and said, yeah, you ain't shutting it quite yet. I got a key and I made copies. And all of a sudden, they got 9 seconds left to use those copies effectively. Hyperia, do you believe in miracles, my friend?
I don't know at this point. The nerves will be setting through. Ability might be able to pull it up right here. Calls up Discreet, needs him in the center with all that boost that Discreet has got. And this is probably the final play. Pass off, TNT up high to the back where Logs and Trees, pivotal touch, makes it. Discreet up for it, extends the play still. You need to keep this ball off the ground, but it will drop at HCC. Make sure that miracles do not happen.
They do not happen here, but they get scarily close, and HCC need to be careful again. This game was pretty in favor of Howard Community College very early on, but as time went on, all of a sudden, it started to slip away from them. And again, this has been the issue we have seen with Howard so far, is consistency over a 5-minute period. While they have the highs to highs where they look fantastic and are able to take down Nova with pretty great ease, it's the moments where they falter and where Nova start to recognize that and punish them that has kept this game so close. So, Howard, you guys have got to be careful here. If you continue to play with this fluctuation in highs and lows, Nova are going to punish.
Nova are not looking great at the start every single time as well. I think if that's something that changes, we will see an entirely different game out of them. But we're going to have to find out. Game number 4 about to be underway, or scratch that, underway already. Yes, we go rapid.
We go, game number 4, and again, another really important game here in this series. We're no longer in that warm-up period. We're back into this one, almost getting to the back half, actually at the back half of the series, technically, as we move into game number 4 here. And again, if Howard win this one, they tie up the series. It is 2-2 apiece, and they erase those 2-0 deficit that we saw to start off. But similarly, if Northern Virginia win this one, Hyperia, that's series point for them.
Got past Arrow there, that would have been phenomenal, but already the start looking greater for Nova. This is, oh no, never mind, that's an awkward touch. As the reback still pops up an ability. Good luck reaching that with 0 boost, way too far out, but he's got glasses, he can read.
He can read indeed. I'd like to think so. These players are all in college, and at a certain point, I'd like to hope that our American education system has allowed them to be able to be literate going into that, you know, that greater education. I imagine that they can, but the question is whether or not that education has prepared them for a Rocket League game as such. The intensity back and forth. Is one of these teams going to crack under pressure? I think not. They're playing absolutely phenomenally here in this first minute, and it could be a goal for TNT, but he has no boost. 12 boosts in the tank there, Hyperion. That is almost a guaranteed goal.
He wanted to, but his physical was disallowing him. And talk about this is Discreet who scores.
Discreet is absolutely disgusting. This man has been all over the pitch here today. He's got 2 assists and 4 goals already, leading the team in goals so far, just absolutely annihilating that ball on repeat. The question is whether or not they can hold on here, because like we said, Hyperion, the inconsistencies have been at the beginning of the matches here for Northern Virginia, so they have to be careful. If Howard find a quick response, all of a sudden all that momentum is all but erased.
Discreet missing the ball there, and the highs and lows keep on going. Lugs and trees out over a defense. TNT just snuck up a little bit to make it awkward for the HCC defense. That's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to commit. Discreet commits here. Discreet, disgusting, disgraceful here.
Discreet finding yet another goal, continuing to add on to his tally. That's the 5th one now. And if we want to talk about impressive stats, ability also doing a pretty impressive thing here and tying his teammate in TNT for the most assists on the team. That's what's making this so incredibly interesting right now, is that Northern Virginia seem to have a 3-headed serpent here that can just take a shot from anywhere, whether it is offense or assists or goals. Everyone's getting involved right now, and this is what's making it so difficult for Howard to slow them down. Hyperia, I still believe in Howard here. They've got 3 minutes left to get back into this one, but they need to get a little bit more creative with their offense. It's looking a bit too predictable, and Nova are able to shut it down every time.
And trees just storming on in there. Make sure that the prediction is made correctly. Discreet. This is going to be awkward for everybody on HCC. Looks and trees misses the pull, and I don't know. I'm not even going to say what happens because realistically, I have no clue.
I think that was a pinch for one of the players. I think Discreet came running across it. Instead of trying to slam it home, he just kind of sent it out to the side. And speaking of sending it out to the side, Discreet tries to keep this one away from Nooble, who will still at least get a touch. But I don't think it's going to be enough to keep the offense flowing here, especially when TNT is dismantling the defense. Fake out in center is going to lead to some pressure, and Ability will get a shot. No such luck on finding the goal, but Nova with a very speedy transition.
Discreet off to the center, look for the second tap. It's Arrow who gets it away from him. Ability into Discreet. Discreet 0 boost. Indeed doesn't jump for that play. That would have put him out of the rotation. Now he can just rotate on back, be right back into the play. Well, this is getting out of hand for HEC. They've only got 1 minute and 50 seconds remain to pull back 2 goals. And usually it was the other way around.
Usually it's the other way around here, but the crazy thing is that this one feels almost a little bit more dominant than that first. It was a shutout game to start this off. Nova took a 3-0 lead, but as the game went on, we started to see Howard get back into it. I don't know if we're really seeing this right now. Howard, despite having decent amounts of pressure, haven't had a solid shot in quite some time, but finally they correct me. Caster Curse will show itself, and it'll show itself in favor of Howard Community College.
That's their blessing for HEC. They'll very much take that. You don't have a solid shot. Allow me to illustrate here, and we'll allow, of course, 1, 2, 3 seconds in the scoreline. 1, 2. They need a 3 on the side of Nova to make sure they're safe again. Ability, they need to prevent the 2 on the other end, and they don't.
They do not, and all of a sudden we have a tied ball game again. So why we said Nova needed to be careful with the highs and lows of this squad. You can never get too complacent, and unfortunately they did just that. 75 seconds left here in game number 4, and again, if Howard can make this comeback happen, they tie up the series.
Good challenge. TNT was trying to make it awkward. Discreet from distance. This is looking awkward on the defense right now. And Ability has to beat backwards real quick. TNT caught off guard by Nova. They want this goal back so badly that they're making it awkward for themselves. That could put them in a terrible position.
Oh my, this is already looking like a bit of a rough position here for Howard as they are scrambling back into their own half, and now Nova with a decent amount of pressure, but no one's going to challenge the ball here. Arrow with plenty of time and space, and he has a chance to set up Nooble. No one able to make contact here, but it seems like Nova are starting to get a little bit passive, Hyperia. Those two goals coming in quick succession have shook them to their core, and now they don't want to challenge as aggressively, but they might need to do so. Not able to cut off that passing lane, and had the touch been on target, that probably would have been an deciding goal.
So many important touches here. Lugs and Trees getting bumped as well. Important. The importance of that is massive. They need to actually get it out of defense for Nova. 10 seconds is what remains. Nooble look for the center, doesn't get it. TNT denies him. Well, this will probably go to an overtime unless Lugs and Trees gets absolutely dunked here. No, oh my word, still TNT! Far corner, but off the post.
Not on target, but just about as close as you can get without it being, and we go to overtime. Game number 4, and like we said, for Howard, this is an important one. They do not want to allow Northern Virginia to move on to series point, and they will fight as hard as they can to prevent that. But so far here, they haven't been able to find a goal. 20 seconds in overtime, a decent amount of pressure, but that's all they will find for now.
They're giving so much space in the center. Discreet with a 50. Lugs and Trees tries to get the second 50. Leaves it up to Arrow. Arrow doesn't get the boost. He's just going to have to make do with what he has, and that will be plenty for now. Arrow actually with a shot. Discreet pops it up and out.
Pops it up and out, but can they get it out of the half? Arrow still pressing the issue. Good 50-50 will lead to Nooble for the follow-up touch. But can they get a pass center for either of their teammates? Actually, both of their teammates are there, so they've overextended now. Howard going to have to make a quick retreat to try and prevent the counterattack, and they do exactly that. They even get a shot off after challenging out at midfield here, but Howard playing a little bit volatile right now, Hyperia. I fear that they might be playing a bit too risky. For right now, it's worked out, but what happens when Nova get a good counterattack? This could be the end of the game, and it could be right here. Discreet pops it into this Howard half, and now they're going to try and get an offense of their own.
Oh, that's an overcommit and a half, and Nooble actually clears it out himself. TNT now into the attack, uses Discreet to his advantage as well. Lugs and Trees pinch off into the center, gets it away from his own teammate. TNT patiently waits. Now for the center he attempts to go. That Ignez open, doesn't score it himself. That would have been a ridiculous angle. Protractor wouldn't even help him in that regard because the Protractor would just say, that's impossible.
Yeah, the Protractor telling you that it's impossible. That's quite something special, especially when it can speak to you as a animated object. But the question is whether or not anything's speaking to either one of these teams. They need some sort of guidance to try and be that deciding factor here. Coach is probably doing their best to keep the teams calm right now and give them that little bit of advice, but something's got to change, Hyperia. I don't know if you've got any advice for either squad, but some sort of spark of life needs to be found.
As soon as the coach would even attempt talking, every single player would be, shut up, we're focusing. It would be so distracting if you try and talk to them right now. The communication, pivotal, crucial, that every single call gets made, but can we make the call that TNT misses? Yes, we can!
Nooble gonna find that golden goal, and Arrow's gonna find the assist. All of a sudden, Howard Community College take this one in 2 minutes of overtime and tie up the series. Hyperia, it's a best of 3 from here on out.
Whoa, dangerous for HTC, but also for Nova. HTC were putting themselves out there in attacking positions, incredibly aggressive, and that leaves up the back end for just a bit of counter-attack in Nova. Every single time they had a gap, they had an opportunity, they weren't able to sneak it through, and it was quickly cemented shut.
Yeah, this is a very interesting ball game right now, Hyperia, because it feels like the momentum is flip-flopping back and forth, but it's not doing so in between games. It's just doing so off the back of specific goals here. Again, these comebacks have just been ridiculous here. We've seen so many different variations of ways that teams approach this offense, but I want to see something a little bit more consistent here. We're during the back half of the series. It's very clear that the teams are warmed up and are able to play at their highest potential, but they now need to start executing at their highest potential here, because it feels like we're getting a lot of pressure, but not a lot of shots. Once one of these two teams finds a way to really put that pressure on net, not just on the half, I think they're going to separate the two teams and take the win.
He's passing it off to the side, he's putting the responsibility in somebody else's hands. It's easy, it's simple, but sometimes you just need to rip one, and if you miss, be fine with it. It's okay. Discreet, avoiding a kamikaze action from Lugs and Trees, and now actually looking for the counter attack. This can be deadly, this can be lethal, but it's a bit too far forward. It's a 50 TNT denied by Lugs and Trees.
Lugs and Trees trying to make sure that his team stays in this one no matter what. He's been an incredibly influential player at 6 goals for his team. That is 2 more than the entire, or excuse me, that is 3 times the amount than the entire team combined at 2 for Nooble. So this is very clear. Lugs and Trees does not want to go down. He's been a star-studded striker and defender both. The question is that going to be enough to get Howard into this winning point? They might be able to do so here. Instead, it's actually Arrow who puts the shot on target. First goal of the series for Arrow, and it's a huge one at that.
Same time, comeback happened. The name of the game, the name of the series. Is this just a tactic from Nova? I don't think so, but who knows? They can very much make the comeback is all I'm trying to say with that.
I still think that they can make the comeback here, especially with over 3 minutes of play, almost 4 here.
Oh.
The question is whether or not they're going to be able to find the same sort of success as before. Again, part of the reason I think that we saw so much success from Nova early on in the series was because Howard looked so uncomfortable on defense. They don't really look as uncomfortable on defense anymore, High Fury. A couple of weird plays here and there like that one we just saw, but in terms of them just being panicked on the back end, I'm not seeing it anymore. So let's see if they can try and find another way to penetrate this defense here. For right now, they're not going to be able to press into their own half, and Nova going to have to try and survive.
They need some different kind of bullets, and they are just not penetrating enough right now. And also the shots they're firing, not making it through. Discreet denying it here as well. TNT in the counter, but Lugs and Trees and Nooble, both of them already back. You really can't get a counterattack going against them, even though they are still so aggressive in the attack. That's something phenomenal for HCC.
Both teams playing phenomenally at this point. It's very clear that the teams, like we said, have warmed up and are here to play. There's not a lot of mistakes that we can point out. A couple of awkward plays here and there, but overall consistency really has shown itself through. The question is whether or not, though, it's going to be enough to, wait a minute, I was going to say keep this at a 1-0 scoreline, but it's going to stay there anyways. Howard puts a shot on target and save with the follow-up. Golden opportunity, but unfortunately, HCC can't convert.
Straight then, no denied by Lugs and Trees instantly. Before I could even get the sentence out of my mouth, the answer was already there. Lugs and Trees this time misses out on an opportunity to clear it away, gets it back into his own hands, accelerates his streak still. Looks at that pace of play, says I can match that very much. Does so indeed to prevent a goal. Arrow also on the defensive end, gets back quickly enough to prevent a goal from happening.
From happening for now, but the question is, with 2 minutes remaining, can they hold on to this 1-0 scoreline? I'm a little bit nervous here. 1-0 is not enough to definitively say this game is going in their favor, especially when the shot is not on target. Counter-attacking opportunity for Nova, but Discreet puts it wide, and we remain at a 1-0 scoreline for now.
That's gonna be hurt, and that would have been so important. Yes, it's a tough one. That bounce is tough to read, but you have to make it at this stage. You're in the grand finals. This is the final one. TNT makes it up the backboard here. Arrow dances with death right there, and Discreet, who was trying to get him in there into his own grave. Nooble. Now down the other end, final minute is about to be entered, and a second goal would be very much welcome on the side of HCC.
They kind of need it now at this point, too, because they need something to just give them momentum walking away from this game. Even if they do not win it, they cannot allow themselves to get shut out going into their opponent's match point. Again, if HCC win this, not only do they move on to series point with only 1 more win needed to take the championship, but they also take 3 in a row. But you know what they're not going to take? Another goal. Instead, it goes the other way. Nova find the equalizer.
51 seconds still remaining, and that's why it's so tough to read, and that's why it's one you have to make. Noble flying through, flying past it, and either team who wins here, they're going to be on match point. They're going to have 2 attempts at closing this one out, whether it brings pressure or whether it brings relaxation. You can make an argument, a solid one for both sides, but you just want to get there as soon as possible. Ability down the other end. Lugs and Trees will deny for now, but that touch is heavy and gets it back to ability.
quite the back and forth here with only 30 seconds remaining. This back and forth could be the one that determines the entire game. But unfortunately for Nova, they've overextended, but Discreet, perfect demo out of midfield. He knew TNT was the only one back and that he would have to try and fight in a 2v1 fashion. So when he takes out one of those players, it's no longer 2v1, it's a 1v1. And speaking of 1v1, one goes the other way, but it's not quite enough. And with 5 seconds left, I think we might just see an overtime, but not if the shots have anything to say about it. Ripped on target, but Nuba will keep it out for now. But as this ball drops, we indeed overtime, game number 5.
One goal is all you need to send yourself and your team onto match point. Everybody wants to be a hero, but are you going to be the hero or are you going to lay it off to your teammates? Arrow had no other option to do it solo. TNT up to the sky, that touch is heavy. Arrow will challenge as soon as he touches the ground. It's great. Also a pass off to the edge of the box, but Logs and Trees up high.
Up high, and TNT is going to get there to intercept, but it's not going to be enough, so Nuba will rip a shot. It's a little bit off target. I don't think they were even expecting to be able to get a shot in the first place, so you can't really blame them, but unfortunately, it was a perfect opportunity, and now instead, Howard are going to have to go back to the drawing boards, and it's not going to be enough. Pencil snap, paintbrush is down, and all of a sudden, Nova move on to series point.
Tough one. Arrow just has to get a touch there. He was expecting ability to arrive earlier, and ability, the slight delay gives them the opportunity. And that's why it sometimes pays to be slower. Nova, they get here quicker than NJCAA though, and they get here at 3-2 in the scoreline overall.
They needed that game as well. Like we said, had Northern Virginia not taken that game, all of a sudden that's 3 in a row going to Howard Community College. And while that's not the end of the series at that point, it's going to be kind of difficult to try and bounce back from what was basically going to be a sweep against you. They shake that off though. They finally disrupt all of ACC and get a game in their favor. The question is whether or not they can take 2 in a row. They haven't been able to since the first 2 games, so this is going to be a difficult task, I fear. But if anyone's going to get it done, it's going to be Northern Virginia eyeing up this national championship, but can they do it in 6? Only time will tell. Let's get into it.
ACC have been strong to get back, to come back and not count themselves out. Or are they going to be able to do the same yet again? It is tiring, and especially when your own teammate gets in the way of you. Ability quick and discreet. Arrow still into the box, looks and Trish, pure panic, but he does get it away. Into safety for now. Ability, second tap, sends it into the hands of Arrow. Still, edge of the box, discreet and TNT both commit to that play, and that's going to mean the end of the attack.
Mean the end of the attack, but only for now. Ability is going to try and prevent the counter from their opponents, and ACC indeed will not be able to break out past their own half. Nubo, though, going to make me eat my words, finally gets a booming clear, but can it turn into an offense? It seems like not. Howard Community College pressing pretty far up to midfield, Hyperia, a little bit overextended, and that's going to cost them an entire offense.
Oh, a crossbar ringer right there. Connection. Also, with the post, it's awkward for Nubo on low boost. That's an awkward one. Arrow, does he have boost to play with? He does indeed. Use it, has to. Arrow leaves the ball for Lugs and Trees. TNT off to the center. I would love to see some control right now instead of just straight booming it back and forth because you're panicked. The ability doesn't get the boost there. Dives over the top of it. No, the hitbox at the top is slightly bit higher.
Getting a little bit chaotic right now. A lot of double and triple commits as we see one in front of the net here for Nova. But can they get punished is the question. Howard Community College, they've been eyeing up this offense for quite some time, but they haven't been able to rip a solid shot on target in a little while. Again, we talk about this a lot, Hyperia. Offensive pressure is great, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't start ripping shots on target.
See, they're attacking with 2, but the Nova are defending with 3 TNT. That's a dunk and a half. This is why I love some challengers to see.
This is insanity. How do you even think to do this? He sees Arrow on the side and says, yeah, no, he's not sending that center. He's going to try and take it high. Reads the play perfectly and dunks it home. OCE is calling your name, my friend. TNT would fit in perfectly, and well, he might fit in with a national championship as well. 3 minutes remaining, and if Nova can hold on, they will be your NJCAA national champions.
OC is calling him in multiple regards as well, because he was upside down, and that play ability gets down to the other end. Lugs and Tree stands his ground, gets the touch. TNT will be the one to follow up. Noble on that counter-attack far forward. Lugs and Tree goes searching for boost on a discovery mission. Doesn't quite find a lot. TNT versus Lugs and Trees. That's a good bump to prevent anything else from happening.
A great bump to prevent everything else from happening here, but is it going to be enough? Ability does get a great clear here, and he should be able to turn this into a transition, but they need more than just a transition. They need a goal here to give them a little bit of a safety net, and they will not find it. The post denies it, and we move into 2 minutes remaining with still only a 1-goal difference.
Ability following this one. Good first touch, good second touch. Discreet doesn't get the third one to finish it off though. TNT also slowing down his pace. Sends Arrow into the woods. TNT off to the center. Discreet, is that going to be all his? Looked in trees, stamps his name on it though. His ability past 1, 0 boost. That's going to be difficult to extend this play. He needs Discreet's help. He needs to move back. TNT has an opportunity, but ability still needs boost in case of a counter attack.
Speaking of in case of a counterattack, here comes Logs and Trees trying to launch one by himself, basically. Not able to make a touch in the corner, but Arrow is there for some backup, but no one's in the air. No one wanted to contest early. They're fearful of these quick transitions from Nova, but they can't get fearful. High Fury with 90 seconds left. We're down to crunch time. It is now or never if Howard wants to survive.
Logan Trees out to the side, but also panicked. Both his teammates were in the corner, and he had to do it all by himself. Discreet going for that corner boost still. It doesn't matter how many other goals you're able to pull off. Just go back in defense, rotate back, get some boost there. Discreet up the ceiling, pass it to the center, even a cheeky no flip. They're feeling confident here.
They're feeling very confident, but sometimes confidence can be too big of a crutch. They need to be careful with a minute left. If a quick transition comes and they're not prepared, all of a sudden we head to yet another overtime, our 3rd in a row. And speaking of which, Discreet with the save. He will not be able to end it there. Logs and Trees will equalize, and we're eyeing up our 3rd overtime in this series.
And this is why I say just go back and grab some boost there. You can't leave your net open like that in such a pivotal moment. HGC able to bring it back, but this is only a tied game still. Nova, they can still close this out in regulation. Ability down to the side, 0 boost. Arrow dives past it, Lugs in Tree still. He whips it up into the box, gets it in the mix. Noble tries to do the same, but its ability up high now. TNT up for it already as well. Extends, 20 boost should be enough. Tries to raid and dunk, but it's Discreet now.
I'm impressed, High Fury. I don't know how you're able to keep up with this action. My heart can't quite take it, my friend. There's too much on the line right now. This could be the championship. This could be an extension. It is all up to Howard Community College. They need to try and end this one before the end of regulation. Otherwise, it's just going to be a coin flip going into overtime. But first, we've got to get there. Howard feeling the pressure as Nova build up another attack. This one off the ceiling. Can anyone get there? No, they cannot. And we head to our 3rd overtime in a row.
This is ridiculous. The pressure is mounting. It keeps on being bigger and bigger. It's kind of those responsibilities you walk away from, and you have to face them at some point. Arrow tries to do that here. Counter-attack with a Cuxer pinch. It's a massive one, but it won't be on target, unfortunately for him. TNT tries to fake out Noble, and Noble still gets a touch. Lugs and Trees now up to the play. Ability denies him, gets that play away from him. Oh my word, Arrow, you're playing with fire.
Playing with fire, but is it going to be enough to find an ignition? 30 seconds into this one, both teams slugging it out, throwing everything that they've got, but no one able to find a definitive offense yet. But they don't need one. TNT sees the path, and all of a sudden, he's going to end this one in overtime. They are your National Junior College Athletic Association Esports champions. Congratulations to Northern Virginia Community College.
Sometimes you don't usually expect from TNT is to silently creep through their opponent's back line. But what a match it was. And HCC, I think they're here to stick around. 15th seed and able to bring the game towards Nova in this grand final is insane.
This was an incredible run from both sides, but the reality is here there can only be one winner at the end of the day, and that is Northern Virginia Community College. Congratulations to the Nighthawks here. They have done a fantastic job of battling this one out, and that is almost an understatement in itself. Again, 70 teams in this league, if I am not mistaken on that number. The fact that it comes down to only 16 in playoffs, and all of a sudden we get the 5 and the 15th seed as the ones in the final, they've got to be proud of their run no matter what, but one team might just have a little bit more pride. Congratulations to the Northern Virginia Community College Nighthawks. They are your champions, and they absolutely deserve that title, Hyperia.
Absolutely. It was fought tooth and nail. I was getting a little bit worried for them as soon as HGC were actually able to take 2 in a row. They were in trouble zone, but they were able to fight their way out, and the heart just shows massively, and that's something you need in a grand finals is heart.
Oh, absolutely. You really do need that heart. You need that resilience. And I think that's something that we cannot overstate, I guess, enough here. Because the reality is that, well, Northern Virginia definitely looked like the favorites going into this series and did so after the first 2 games. All of a sudden, HCC got back into this one. They take 2 games in a row, and they do so in pretty spectacular fashion. 1-goal game and then an overtime. A lot of teams at that point, their mental is going to be done and dusted. They've got to try and recover and get themselves back into it. But you know what? Northern Virginia were able to do that. Nova were able to keep themselves in this one, take 2 games in a row, including their 2 overtimes in a row, actually. I was going to say an overtime, but they got 2 of them, Hyperia, and they crushed both of them. Congratulations to the Nighthawks. They really do deserve this championship.
I'm so glad we are actually able to get them in for an interview. We're going to be able to talk to the winners of this tournament for a little bit. It always feels ridiculous, but oh my. I've got so many questions for them, and honestly, they would probably like for this interview to be delayed because they most likely need a bit of a breather.
Yeah, we're going to give them a little bit of a breather here. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, like we said, we're going to have an interview with the champions. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NJCAAE Grand Finals. We have crowned a winner. It is Northern Virginia Community College, and now we have got a chance to speak to one of the players that was on that winning team. We've got Discreet in the booth with us. Discreet, are you there, my friend, and how are you doing after that fantastic win?
I am here. I'm doing great. Honestly, going into that game, we were big chilling. We kind of got nervous, but then we ended up just closing it out, so we're all happy.
Absolutely. It was a little bit worrisome as soon as they got 2 in a row. What kind of was the comms at that point? Did you talk about what you needed to do, or was it kind of you knew what to do and you just went into the next game?
Honestly, we kind of really didn't change anything. Like, we just kept playing how we were. We're like, we're just going to fix it. We're fine. And then in the middle of game 4, the middle of game 5, I talked to my team, and I was just quickly, after we scored a goal, I was like, TNT, you need to do this. Ability, you need to do this. And then after that, we just swept the series. I think I told them what was going wrong.
Oh, okay. So you do have a bit of a leading role. As soon as something goes wrong, you're the one to kind of lead the team.
For the most part, we have a couple other inputs. Shout out to Fox, one of the Nova coaches that actually helped us fix some of our problems. Back when Caboose played, he helped fix a lot of Caboose's problems. He helped fix a lot of problems that I personally had. He helped fix some of Ability's problems, and I don't think without him it would have been a lot closer without Fox.
Oh yeah,
I think.
Did he talk to you during the game at all, or in between the matches? And then was it more mental, or was it really what you needed to do on the pitch?
I don't think Fox did not talk to us during the game. He hasn't been around in a while. Essentially, it was just us 3 in comms, and we kind of talked after each game. But as I said in game 5, I had that little 10-second talk with my team, and then we figured out what was wrong, and then we just ended up winning.
Love to see it. That really is the best way, when you can have someone who can just sort of recognize and be like, hey guys, last couple games, not that great. We changed 1, 2, and 3, and all of a sudden we are back into it. You love to see that leadership position Discreet, and I really do think that's what led you guys to this victory here today. My question, though, is part of that leading to the victory is that you guys had a substitute here. Can you speak a little bit about changing out Caboose for TNT? Because based on the graphics that we were given in the info, it seemed like you guys were initially going to go Ability and Caboose, and then that TNT sub comes in. Any reasons behind that in specific? You guys just kind of feeling it better on the day, or was there more of a strategy behind it?
So, long story short, Caboose could no longer play Rocket League with us about 3 months ago, and then we had TNT as a replacement. So, yes, the graphic was incorrect in that front, but Caboose was just as important part of getting the team started as TNT was to finish off the rest of the season. So credit to both of them.
Lovely. It's always great. And how was that change, man? Did you really have to work hard to get it to work, or was it a natural fit?
It was a little bit of a change, but kind of a natural fit. Caboose, where he lacked for the most part, was not knowing when to push on defense. And then we switched over to TNT, and he kind of lacked the experience with comms. So fortunately, I'm really experienced with comms. I was able to get TNT up to speed really quick. And by time, of course, this match came along, it was a lot better than what it was when we started. So I think that's another big part in why we ended up winning. The first couple of games that we were playing, especially the games we lost, our comms were not the best. But after we ended up picking it up, our comms were fine for them. And all the way until we won the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That adaptability really did lead you guys into an incredibly strong second half. And sort of an interesting stat, I don't know how much you guys were really paying attention to this. That was 3 overtimes in a row to finish that one off. You had a 3-0, then a 4-2, then all of a sudden Howard started picking it up, and it's 1-goal game, 1-goal game, 1-goal game, 1-goal game. You guys literally kept it as close as possible. So for the sake of keeping it close as possible, I think that, some people, a couple of shout outs. Anybody you want to shout out real quick, Discreet, before we let you go and celebrate with your team?
Shout out to John, the coach of Nova. That would not have happened without all of his, help getting all the tournaments set up, signing up, all that stuff, being there, making sure we're all showing up for scrims. Shout out to, of course, Ability and TNT teammates. They played great this game. They've improved so much over the last semester. And of course, shout out to Caboose, keeping up to his name. He was the hype man for this game. So let's go.
Love it, love it, love it. And Discreet, I bet you got a lot to love right now, my friend. You just took home a national championship, so we're going to let you go and celebrate with your team. Thank you for coming in here, and once again, congratulations on becoming the NJCAAE National Championships, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, my man. All right, that was Discreet, and my, oh my, does he seem like a happy lad. And for good reason, Hyperia. He just took home a national championship.
It'd be weird if he came in or being absolutely terrible and just dreading himself without. We should have done so much better. We should have just swept him. It doesn't matter how you perform in the end, as long as you win, right?
The turbo mentality. The turbo mentality,
We scored more goals. I can't do the Swedish accent.
All right, well, we're going to let Hyperia get away from whatever that accent was. We're going to let you guys head on out for the night. Again, congratulations to Nova, Northern Virginia Community College, are your NJCAAE national champions. And also, congratulations to Howard Community College as well for making it to the grand finals as the 15th seeds. They were the underdogs coming in this one, and they gave a heck of a run at that. But like we said, at the end of the day, there can only be one winner, and that is Nova. Congratulations one more time. But that's all we got. Thank you again, folks, for tuning in here today. It was an absolute pleasure to be able to cast for all of you guys. Huge shout out to my main man, Hyperia, for joining me in the booth. He absolutely crushed it as well. And then also a shout out behind the scenes to PogChamp, the guy who was broadcasting this entire thing. It would not be possible without our producers, so they deserve all the love in the world as well. But you know who else deserves a little bit of love? You guys at home. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like we said, you guys tuning in and giving us this support is the reason that we get to cast all of this. And well, that cast has officially finished. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. We will see you guys next time for more esports collegiate action. But for now, that is that. We will see you. Have a great rest of your Thursday.